The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
Where my girl got the sweetest pussy.
Welcome to SinCityBounty.com. It is our Ides of March show.
Or the everyone gets stabbed in the end show.
Or 5 days after the Ides of March show.
Look.
The Ides of March is one of my favorite days because of his historic significance. Just so you know, for those of you who don't know, Ides just means middle. So every month has an Ides. The 15th of every month, or the 14th for February, is the Ides of that month. But on the Ides of March, Julius Caesar was stabbed to death by Brutus and the Senate.
Which is how I'm going to go out.
Wait. What if a month has 31 days? Then which day is the Ides? Is it the 15th or the 16th?
15th and a half.
Okay.
So like 15th evening.
Okay,
Dusk.
evening of the 15th.
Yeah.
All right. Before the sun goes down?
No, because
is that Pacific
the
Daylight
Romans-
Time or is that just Pacific Standard Time?
You're
taking all the fun out of it.
Romans didn't even
Jesus.
start their days till the sun was up, so the half would be midnight.
Oh, there we go. That's true. Most of the ancients started their day at dawn. As
That's
opposed
because all they had was sundials, right?
And then when the Europeans came along and started pushing their culture around, they started their days at sunset.
Those fucking Europeans.
Fucking Celts. Those goddamn Germanic Celt bastards.
They started their days at sunset the day before. So just so they could party better, longer.
Because they were like, they're sitting around and they're like, man, I don't want to wait for tomorrow because, feast day's tomorrow. And they're like, well, the sun's down, so technically the day's over. And they're like, fuck yes. The Germanic Celts were basically a bunch of frat boys who just wanted to party harder.
Around the fire. With burning flesh and meat.
God, why didn't I live during this time?
Deodorant.
Disease.
Pox.
Deodorant?
They had none. There's no such thing as deodorant. You smelled the way you smelled all the time.
All the time.
The only time they showered is for great rituals and those during greater whatevers, and that was usually 2 or 3 times a year.
Speaking of, today I didn't have deodorant on. And so I'm like, whoa, I probably should put some on. I was a little sweaty in my top here. And so I thought, all right, I'm just going to splatter on a little, I had some peppermint essential oils by me. And I'm like, all right,
Better not have any cuts under your arms.
I would burn like a motherfucker. Like 30 minutes later, I'm sitting there like, oh my God. So we're not doing that again.
FYI.
Then I went and put regular deodorant on. I'm like, why the fuck didn't I do this to begin with?
FYI, anything from the mint family, including tea tree, mint of any kind, burns like a bitch when you put it on your skin.
I use tea tree on everything.
Stay away from cinnamon,
too. I use tea tree all over. Tea tree doesn't burn me. And I use peppermint, but normally for smelling. Or I just never used it on my armpits. So I learned.
Don't put it on your vagina either.
Well, I didn't plan to do that, but I did want to give you guys some minty fresh armpit today. And I thought I'm going to sit here and be like, hey, make you guys think it was gum. And
I will tell you, I know a certain person who used the tea tree shampoo that is in my shower as a body wash and realized that their butthole is very sensitive to tea tree oil. And I could tell there was a problem because there was much hopping around happening in the shower. And I was like, what is going on? And they're like, did you know tea tree oil shampoo does not go on your butt crack? And I was like, yes, because it makes your scalp tingle. It's going to make the other shit tingle too, and not in a good way.
I can use it. I know everybody was wondering this, but I can use it on my vagina when I get a razor cut. I mean, not in, but like on the razor burn area. Without it bothering me. Like, I use it all the time. I use it in shampoo. I use it for cuts. I use it for everything.
It's because you're calloused.
Apparently. But peppermint, I don't use it in my
How many
ass
soccer
crack,
games have you
so-
attended? So yeah, I'd be probably pretty callous.
A lot. We'll just go with a lot. So, anything's wrong. Anybody goes like, oh, I have this wrong. Oh, I have that wrong. Tea tree oil.
Like Windex in the Greeks.
That's what it is. Tea tree oil fixes
Little
everything.
shout out to my big fat Greek wedding. Woo-hoo. One of my favorite movies ever. For that very last scene, when they both get a pimple the day before their wedding, and she can't get it off, and he tells her, oh, I had the same problem, and she's like, why? How did you get rid of it? And he said, Windex. Greatest scene ever.
I don't recall that. I saw it once like years and years ago.
We need to watch it again. I'm sorry. I'm still very stiff and still very much in pain, so if I have to turn the whole thing to look at you.
And this is because on the 15th, a bunch of us stabbed her in the back.
So, can I do this like throughout the show? Sarah, what do you think of that?
Oh, let's do that again.
Sierra, what do you think about that? It'll be business as usual. Yeah.
For those of you who are only listening to the podcast, Toxi was spinning at Sierra's chair, and Sierra turned with both of her middle fingers pointed towards the ceiling.
Huzzah. Yes. I do not know how I injured myself. The doctors are perplexed. But considering it's my left arm and not my right arm, we can't blame it on masturbation.
Well, I was actually just going to suggest, like, sometimes to get rid of one pain, a greater pain takes that pain away. I can shove something up your ass while we're here, and you will forget about your shoulder in a moment.
What makes you think that would be painful?
I don't have lube, do you? I mean, that's about it.
Have you met me? Have you not gone on a day trip with me?
Is your own back there? like, is there an emergency pack in case of emergency? Please break packet. Like, it's like your underwear. Yes.
There's always time for lube.
Always time for a lube.
We, in her vehicle, well, you've been there many, many more times than I, but I was quite alarmed at how prepared she is for an apocalypse.
At any time.
At any time, to the point where she's showing me, like, no, listen, I'm prepared for anything. And I'm like, okay, really? Like, because I'm a good packer.
And I'm like, no, you don't need
And
to
she's
bring
like,
anything.
no. And so
I don't
take
even
a
need to
look,
bring anything. It's already there.
like, to the point where she has ramen.
Yeah.
Ramen, in case you, like, broke down. And
Yeah, and you get hungry. Fat bitches gotta eat.
There's also a stove and a bottle of water to cook that ramen.
To cook the ramen. I mean,
Yeah.
there is everything back there.
There's also a life straw in case I run out of the
Oh, yeah.
prepackaged water.
Right. You did mention the life straw.
I also do know how to make a charcoal and sand filter on the fly in case the life straw fails as well.
I would just die. Like, I would be left for dead. She would live forever.
This
and, like,
is-
within 7 minutes of us breaking down, I'd be like...
The covenant we have is that she will keep me alive as long as she is able to, but I have to be willing to sacrifice myself to the zombies so she and her child can get away.
Yes. She is fodder, and I will protect my fodder until the fodder is needed.
Yes. So you can sign that deal too.
Have you seen me try to run? Like... It would
Honestly.
last 3 minutes. The ink wouldn't be dry, and she'd be throwing me down in front of them. Like, bitch is slow.
Listen.
Jesus, I thought your fat ass would come in handy. Fuck the buoyancy. Just eat her.
She's my flotation device. In case of emergency, just wrap her legs around my neck and the whole way down. Just so you know, that hurt quite a bit to do.
I want to go in the pool this weekend. I'd like to test that.
Yeah?
I mean, I do know if I'm sure this happens to your boobs, but if I'm in a pool, like if I'm laying there, or even if I'm there and I like float up, immediately I go like this.
It's your booty.
Bing! And my ass comes up. So
Yeah, ours is the other way, where the butt comes up because the boobs are bigger.
Yeah.
I have no ass.
So somehow I figure if we hook into each other between my rear flotation
Some
and your
scissoring?
forward yeah, like some scissoring will keep us alive.
These are my best friends.
Scissor for life. Scissor for life. I'm like, do it, just stay alive, and you're going, we're in my
You're writing
fucking
that
pool.
down.
That is a hashtag.
We're in my
Scissor
fucking
for life.
pool. Toxi, we're in my pool.
My neighbors, I have lived in that house for 7 years now. They know. First time I walked out into that, shut the fuck out of those bitches. I walked out into the pool in a bikini, looking like this, in a bikini, a string bikini, and I just flapped my ass right on into that fucking pool, and my neighbors were like, what the fuck is this? Now they don't even blink.
Yeah, they really don't, because I've been there and I'm like, just totally in mine as well. And I'm just like walking up to the edge of the pool, you know, and like, hey, how's it going? Do you want me to reach down and get that? And, you know,
Nope.
it's just all hanging out back there. and the
Doesn't
neighbor's
faze
like,
them anymore.
Not even flinch.
Nope.
So how long have you been in pain? How long have you been suffering from our thrusts upon your back?
Let me check my journal. It was Thursday the 8th when I really started hurting. That was the day I went home early for the first time. Friday, I didn't go to work because I went to, Friday the 9th, I didn't go to work because I went to Quick Care. And they gave me some pills and they said if they don't work in a week, come back. So on Thursday of last week, the Ides of March, my ass was back at Quick Care going, I've recovered my range of motion, about 90% of it, but the pain level is still at an 11. And so they were like, well, here's some more medication and a prescription for physical therapy. You have to wait 5 days and then call in your physical therapy prescription. So I called physical therapy today, and the first time they can get me in is April 4th, which is like 5 days after I run out of medication.
Have you tried CBD oil yet?
Not yet, but I have tried marijuana, and it works.
Let's talk about the night you tried marijuana.
That was
last Tuesday.
That was last Tuesday.
When we didn't do a show.
I was in so much pain last Tuesday. I was like, ladies, I couldn't even try to be funny. I would just sit here like this all day, all night. Something funny. That's what it would have been like. Completely worthless. So I was like, ladies, I'm not coming in. So they were like, all right, neither were we. And I was like, well, I'm going to smoke some weed because honestly, I could not sit up straight without crying. It was so painful. The only relief I get is laying flat. That is the only complete relief I get. And that's because of where the injury is and which muscle group it involves, and it's complicated. So I smoked some weed. I went on my way home and I stopped at this little really crappy smoke shop right by my house, and I picked up this cheap ass, barely metal, pink, shiny pipe because I knew I was in no place to roll a joint. And I didn't have a pipe. I used to have this really awesome unicorn pipe, but I don't know what happened to it. It's gone now. Probably lost it in the divorce. So I bought this little pipe, and it's tiny. It's like 1.5 inches long. It's so small.
It's like fear of lighting your nose on fire when you light the, okay.
And I packed all the weed into it, and I got like 2 hits before that weed burned out because it's weed from the day weed became legal in the U.S. So it's like 1 year and 3 months old. It is the stalest ass weed. Yeah, it was like throwing wood flour on a fire. It was just like that. Off 2 puffs.
But it was enough, because what did we receive later on that evening?
Well, yeah, 3 bowls later was enough. Which is like 6 hits total, I think. Yeah, and then I just started sending random poetry.
So here's what I hear.
High ass poetry.
I hear my phone, and I wasn't right in front of it, but I hear it, and I hear it, bing!
And I don't have that because
Bing!
I just got the new phone, so I don't have that
Bing!
chat anymore.
Bing! 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 And I'm like, what is a big old fucking chat going on and I'm not in it? No, you weren't even in it yet. They were all from her. Every single one. One right. Bing! Bing!
Just so y'all know, you weren't the only ones I was high texting that night. And my other friend was very amused by my high ass as well. It was very funny.
Thank goodness it wasn't, you weren't drunk texting, I think. I think you would have been a little bit more morose or mean.
No.
No?
No.
Are you nice when you're drunk? I haven't seen you drunk in forever.
No, she sends interesting messages when she's drunk, too.
They usually get really sexual.
Yeah.
Drunk makes me horny.
Yeah.
So it's usually like, I would do bad things to you tonight. I'll take a lift to your house. I'll be there in 15 minutes.
And the next morning, did I send this to you? What the fuck did I do?
Well, you always know when I'm drunk texting you because my grammar becomes impeccable. Like, I spell, it's not don't, it's do not. Because I know I'm drunk texting.
You turn into Data, where you can't contract
I am not going to turn into one of those drunk texts that you see on the memes that it's like, I don't even know what this person was saying. No. That shit's Shakespearean fucking Queen's English, bitch. Like, it comes out, forsooth I do say, I might be a smidge bit intoxicated this evening. Would you like to put your penis in my vagina? Like...
So a little of her hi texting.
Oh, feel free to read it all.
Ladies! It's a miracle. You're pregnant? Mother Nature wins again. Blah, ha, 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 ha. Nope, but I'm pain-free. Also, I may be a bit high. It's tiny and pink. Causes quite the stink. And then I think I am on the brink of a miraculous discovery.
I'm a fucking poet.
What, you might ask? Then she sends a little photo of the pipe.
My tiny little pipe.
It was, I didn't know what it was at first. I'm like, are we looking at one of those little lights that my cat chases?
No, it's tiny.
I wasn't
It's
quite
so tiny.
sure. So, yeah.
But at least it worked for a day. You were out of pain for a day.
I was out of pain for the rest of that evening. Now, I waited till my son went to bed because while he knows there's marijuana in the house and he knows that I have smoked it before, I don't smoke it in front of him. Just like, for one reason and one reason only, I cannot control myself high. I am you've seen me high. Have you seen me high? Mm-mm. I'm an idiot. I'm a total moron. If that text message did not prove that to you, I'm a complete and utter idiot. So just like my kid has never seen me drunk, he'll never see me high. And since I can't smoke even a single puff of shit weed without getting high, he's just not going to see me smoke weed. I've talked about smoking it in front of him, and he just blows it off because it's so inconsequential, because it's like uncool because his parents do it, which is why I waited till I was an adult to do it too. So I waited till my kid, that was a long explanation to tell you. I waited till my kid went to bed. So at 8:30, I lit that little bitch up. And when was that first text message?
I have to go back.
It was like
8:31.
It was like 8:35. I started sending text messages.
Moments later.
And just so you know, repacking a pipe when you are high as fuck is not easy. Especially when your weed is dry and crumbly and blows away when the dog sneezes into the weed bowl you're using. Fuck! It was quite the evening. And I'm going to do it again. Except that I'm going to a weed store because we have those here in Vegas and I can totally walk into one. And I'm going to tell them, look, I don't have the patience to roll joints anymore. I don't want to burn my lips off. So I would like to get a marijuana vaping pen that can vape both actual marijuana and oil.
Or you can purchase an edible.
They're all made with sugar. I can't eat the edibles.
There's no sugar-free ones.
Not yet.
Not yet.
The vegan bakers haven't taken over the weed industry yet.
Vegans use sugar.
Some of them are sugar-free. They like the stevia a lot. So we have Jasmine from Indiana in chat. Vendetta is jealous of the big motherfucking pizza. Do you remember the name of that place?
Hell yeah, Pin Up Pizza. It's on the strip.
Pin Up Pizza on the strip.
Pin Up Pizza.
Catch. William says, hey, don't badmouth my ancestors. I think we were talking about the fucking Celts.
No, it's actually heat that I need. Oh, this is CBD?
Yeah.
Vendetta says Sierra's trying to pull a Clooney Batman.
Clooney Batman.
Who can't move in his suit.
Good nerd reference, man.
William says eating weed works better, except for the sugar thing, of course. Bing, bing, bing sounds like sonar. Karan is watching. And he says, hello. Sarah is watching. She says, hey, hey.
Hey.
Hey, Sarah.
Samantha May says, I send stupid texts when already asleep. Her fiance woke her with a text last night, and she sent, quote,
Ishtar has no Z.
thumbs up, Ishtar has no Z.
I have no idea what it was supposed to be. Neither do we.
That's so funny. Too funny.
Oh, yeah, I wish I could eat weed.
So we wanted to, we don't know if we're going to name it the Ides of March show or the stab you in the back. You know, my favorite meme that goes with Caesar, because there's a bunch of great memes that come along with the Ides of March. One is the Caesar's dressing with the knife in it, and
That's
the dressing
the
all.
greatest one, I think.
That's the funny one. But mine is, it's just one of those, the cards, you know, those samey cards or whatever. And it's just a Roman, and he's standing there, and he goes, people have lost sight of what the Ides of March means. It's not just about the stabbing. It's about coming together in groups and stabbing.
Stabbing as a community.
It's one of my favorite memes. But we decided to focus on this aspect, the pain and the harshness and reality of living amongst other people, because I fell in love with a story this week. We're going to talk about mine first because it's so quick, about a girl who taped a samurai sword to the side of her bed, pulled it out, and stabbed her husband or boyfriend while he was sleeping. The
like
article,
motherfucking Akira, just
right. The first line of the article is, while he lay asleep, she silently reached over to untape the samurai sword she had taped there earlier and proceeded to stab him. I was like, what the fuck? Is this a real story? Before I posted it, I went to make sure this is a real story. She is pleading not guilty to trying to kill her boyfriend.
What is she pleading to? He deserved it?
She literally taped it under the bed in preparation for that, and some knives.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just the sword.
It
she had
wasn't
some
just the
knives
sword.
under
There were
there.
knives involved, right. Now, if you read this article, it's from the Washington Post. It's on our Facebook page. It's on our Twitter. I don't know if I posted it to our Instagram, but I know I put it everywhere that we have a SinCityBounty account, because I could not believe this story. It was the greatest story ever. The girl probably needs some help. She really, really needs some help.
You think?
She thought her boyfriend was cheating on her because she found the Tinder app on his phone. And she complained that he played the video games.
He's not cheating on you. He's just having random sex with people he meets on Twitter. Come on.
And he played video games too much. And when the guy was interviewed and asked, was he cheating on her, he said, I play video games all day. I don't have time to spend with my girlfriend, let alone some other woman.
I am busy killing orcs with a level 5 sword.
Yeah, that was the thing. His responses were kind of like, oh.
That's one of the reasons why I didn't think the article was like a real article, because they asked him what was the greatest thing that he thought, you know, what was the best thing that came out. He goes, I was able to Wing Chun myself out of being...
That he used the techniques that he learned from the games that he played. I probably would have stabbed him too. I don't know if she's that crazy.
Assassin's Creed can save your life. PSA from SinCityBounty.
And I think he said, like, I play 13 hours a day. How do I have time to...
So when I posted this article, because it just completely dumbfounded me and it fascinated me at the same time. And I guess it's not the only samurai sword story out there of some girl trying to kill her boyfriend with the samurai sword.
It's an elegant weapon, really it is. It would be my choice of boyfriend slaughtering tool. If only because all my other ones are ritual tools and I can't use them for that.
Well, they are supposed to be some of the finest types of swords there are out there.
They slice through flesh like butter.
The guy,
I feel like I would be there with him and be like, I can't do this.
This guy used his arms to protect himself. He didn't lose 3 fingers, but they were like dangling from skin.
Yeah.
And the doctor was able to, sew them back on to save his fingers. Oh my God. I just.
Can you imagine getting fingered by him later? Because now they're all stiff, right? So he has to flap his hand because he can't twist his fingers anymore. So he'd be like Flipper trying to get you. Just be like flap, 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 flap.
It's like that guy who approached me in a club and told me he's so small. He said, when I have sex, it's like this inside there. And I was like, sweetie, don't lead with that. Don't.
Honestly, with me, that would have got him laid. Thank you for being honest. Let's go play hot dog in the hallway. I swear to God.
Anyway, so that is the story that I am bowled over by this week. I've been fascinated by that story this whole week, so. But then Toxi found a story that she wanted to talk about.
I mean, mine's not as funny. Like, mine's serious.
We can
Give
make
it to Sierra. She'll make it funny.
Bring it in. Bring it in. I just made almost losing 3 fingers hilarious.
And seriously, while he's in there, wouldn't you be afraid one might fall off and get lost?
No.
Like you're going to be fishing a tip out later? No, because I was like, how secure are they at that point?
Well, once they're fully healed, they're very secure. They're just super stiff because their joints aren't going to move anymore like they're supposed to.
Well, if the doctor was able to save him soon enough.
But the internal structure, if it hit through any of the joints, the internal structure of those joints is so delicate that cannot be recreated. Not finger joints, at least. Usually, if it's that damaged, they just take it off because there's no point because you end up with just like stiff fingers. I know this because my dad is missing 2 fingers on one hand because they got crushed in a machinery accident. He tells everyone it was an alligator or a shark, depending on which coast he's on. And they were able to reconstruct these 2, but they're still very stiff, and they just cut the other 2 off because they could have put them back on, but they would have been completely immobile. So they just cut them off. So my dad is like a fucking rock star pirate.
So he's like that.
Yeah, only it's his left hand. He's like claw lobster man.
If you're going to have to lose one, like, it's probably best for this just to stay prepared.
But it's these 2. First in the middle. He can't flip anyone off with his left hand. No, but you know what? He's got such fine motor skills with these 2 fucking fingers. He can do shit with that I can't do with my regular hands. It's insane. And he doesn't have these 2 fingers to get in the way.
That's because he's a guy.
Just don't ask him how he fingers his wife.
Or he masturbates with it. If he uses that hand, if those fingers are so...
That's probably kind of exotic.
Right?
Listen.
Like, but if they're that mobile...
Between you 2 and my stepdad, I am done with my parental figures and their fucking sex lives. Done.
But listen,
Done.
If he's doing it to himself, if he only has the 2, he can use less lube. I feel like it might be more efficient. Can we ask him? Can we call your dad?
What about fisting?
Can we call your stepmom?
My stepmother would be mortified.
We won't tell her where we're from.
No. Y'all can't.
We're gonna pretend like we're just doing random surveys.
Oh. We're surveying the women in America with husbands missing 2 fingers on their left hands. Would you answer some questions for us?
We're from the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh my God. No. Dear Lord in heaven, no. Mom, no comments, Mom.
Oh, that's
My
right. Your
mother
mom would know.
listens.
And we know that she watches. Yes.
No.
Oh my God.
I don't want to know.
We will get an answer. We will get an answer.
No.
No. She keeps saying no, but her mom will volunteer the fucking answer.
Man. Fuckers. You know what? You know what my mother did? She figured out how to get YouTube on her giant 67-inch TV in the living room. Watched our show on the fucking big screen in the living room with the volume all up.
Were you in there like talking about fingering yourself?
No.
You were like...
But my stepdad was in there, and it was when we talked about foot fetishes.
So, for those of you who don't know, I want to give a shout out to Chris. He just pledged some money for us on Patreon every month. Thank you very much, Chris. For those of you who are in our secret $5 Facebook group, If you pledge $5 on Patreon, you could be entered into that group, and you get some intimate stuff, much like what her and her family just went through with the foot fetishes.
I could see you up on the big screen up there like, so I diddle myself?
I just want to wrap your legs around my neck and go the whole way down the river.
And you're like, Mom, it's Thanksgiving.
She would too. She would put me on and be like, that's my daughter. Isn't she amazing? And I'm like, Mother, the church ladies don't need to know that I'll fuck anything that moves. Don't need to know it. They already hate me because I can't forget to not say fuck when I'm around.
Meanwhile, my mom is not allowed to watch because then it would be weird calling her a pot-smoking hippie.
And my mom doesn't care to watch.
I swear to God.
Is she in here yet? No, because like the 1 week your mom watched after, but it was so cute because she was commenting like we were on live.
Old people in technology. It's adorable. So adorbs.
So when you watch this later, Mama Sierra Mama, we would like to know.
No. No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Let's talk about what you wanted to discuss. So the article that you found.
Yeah, so there's a bill in Iceland that is proposing a 6-year prison term for anyone carrying out male circumcision.
On children.
On children.
Right.
So they are looking to ban male circumcision. Female circumcision has been banned there since like 2005. I think we have some laws in place here now, or surprisingly they weren't in place, and they're getting those done. But so this bill is it is being brought up, and it's being opposed by a lot of religious leaders.
That's because both the Jewish religion and the
Islamic religion.
Islamic religion both encourage, or the Jewish tradition requires, the Islamic tradition, or
Islam.
Islamic tradition highly recommends that you circumcise all boys.
It's because of something in the Bible.
So I wanted to make sure I knew why. So for Jews, it is a covenant. It is a sign of the covenant with God.
They sacrifice a part of themselves for God.
It's been done for more than 3,000 years. It's usually, it's one of the only bloody things that can happen on a Sabbath day, a holy day. Abraham was commanded by God to circumcise himself, all male members of his household, his descendants, and slaves in an everlasting covenant.
Yes. So that's where I'm going to insert my thing. God required it of an adult male. He did not require it of children.
Well, he said all male members of his household.
But
Yes,
why would he
but-
give it to you if he wants you to just cut it off?
Well, that's the thing that some other people, that's why Catholics don't do it, because they're like, it's part of us, it's what God gave us, we shouldn't cut it off. So here's my, you want to do personal stances on it? Or do you want to?
Sure.
All right.
Whatever. Go ahead.
So I think that you should do whatever you want to your own body. You don't get to make decisions for another person's body, including the piercing of ears, the tattooing of identification markers, and the cutting off of bits of flesh for whatever fucking reason. There is no medically necessary reason to circumcise a child, male or female. There's no medical reason necessary.
Nope.
There's no reason to pierce ears. There's no reason to, there's all of those people who tell you, oh, it's easier when they're younger, blah, 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 it's less traumatic, whatever. It's like, why would they ever want it? From what I understand, a circumcised penis can become desensitized because it doesn't have that protective sheath around it, which is how you end up with those douchebag guys with the big circumcised dicks who can they just don't know what they're doing because they can't feel anything down there. My son is not circumcised.
Of course, this is all anecdotal, so it's not like scientific fact or anything.
There's been some research done on it, but there's no conclusive evidence. But there is conclusive evidence No medical reason necessary.
Nope.
It was a decision my son's father and I both made, not for any religious reason whatsoever, but just that we didn't think we should be cutting bits of our child off of him unless they were dying bits, and honestly, not a dying bit.
If you can foresee that you're going to be a bad parent maybe and not show your child how to wash his foreskin,
listen, by the
Then
time they're 12, when
maybe-
it's really like, a thing,
Yeah.
trust me, they're cleaning it a lot by themselves. In the living room sometimes while you're standing there. They will just fuck with that thing all the time.
What are you doing, Mom? Or what are you doing? Mom,
No.
cleaning my penis.
Literally, stop playing with your penis in the living room while you watch YouTube.
So for Jews, it is a religious ritual. It needs to be done. It needs to be done by like the 7th day from when the child is born. For Muslims, for the Islam religion, it is a purification. Muhammad stated that circumcision was a law for men. The main reason for the ritual is cleanliness. It is essential that every Muslim washes before praying, and it is important that no urine is left on the body. Foreskin makes it easier for urine to get trapped.
So they have to bathe before they pray?
Supposed to.
Yeah.
It is usually seen as an introduction to the Islamic faith and as a sign of belonging, but there's no fixed age for circumcision, and it is not required to be a Muslim. But the person performing it must be medically trained. So those are the two that are fighting this law in Iceland. And I don't know if they're fighting it. They're just, I was reading the article, and I know that they didn't even know that there was going to be a vote on this until they saw it on the TV. And it freaked them out. And they're like on the phone as soon as they
welcome to
found
American
out.
politics.
Iceland.
No, yeah, welcome to American politics, Iceland. We've had to pass bills where the people who wrote the bills said, we have to pass them so we know what they are. What? Welcome to American politics. I do not think that any religion should be required to change their religious practices for anyone's fucking ideals.
Well, when FGM got outlawed, female genital mutilation, which is what female circumcision is, I think it was in New York it's outlawed, but there was a doctor secretly practicing it who just got caught for it. So, because it's part of I believe it's part of the Muslim religion as well.
It is part of the Islamic culture, not the Muslim religion.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Islamic.
Yeah, there's nothing in any Bible anywhere, none of them, that tells you need to cut the clitori off of your children. Nothing. It is a completely cultural thing, and it is, for the most part, it is done to deaden a woman's sexual response. And there's a... I know! I saw. If you're
go ahead.
uncircumcised, you'll get less blowjobs. No, I'll blow them any way they come.
Yeah, so will I.
I actually like uncircumcised penises. I love that little dangly bit at the end.
It's like a
before they
surprise.
It is.
It's like opening a Tootsie Roll package.
You're just like, and he's out and in, and out and in, and out and in, and out and in, and out and in. You can play with it. It's so much fun.
It's a toy. It's a surprise. It's awesome.
Also, it gives him at least an extra length, a little extra tickler at the end. So when he's right up all up in there, you can just wiggle in there. And
You can what? Is that a requirement? Like once he's in, does he have to go? Or do
you sound like a turkey in heat.
And then just because I wanted to make sure, the Christian religion urges that men be circumcised of the heart. That's in quotes, by the way, circumcised of the heart. By trusting in Jesus and his sacrifice on the cross. It was a big issue in the early Christian church, especially with adult Greeks who converted, were unwilling to undergo the painful operation. So since they were like the big backers of the church back then, the church finally said, just be circumcised of the heart.
Here's what all of you religious people need to understand. God made you this way. You should uphold your covenant with God to maintain the body he gave you.
So you said that you don't think that people should change their religious practices because of laws. So
No, I don't think people should pass laws that affect religious practices. So there would be an exception for religious reasons, and only medical professionals of that religion could perform that surgery. So you couldn't go to some layman who doesn't understand the religious ritual of it. Of course, the other thing is you could just hop across the border and go to another country and get it done. Honestly, well, I mean, it's Iceland. It's a fucking island. But it's really not that expensive to travel to other countries in Europe from European countries. Just go get it done somewhere. I mean, we allow Christian bakers to not sell cakes to gays. We should allow Jewish trained medical professionals to perform this ritual on children. I don't agree with it.
There's actually a law because of a lawsuit based on the Christian bakers.
Yeah.
How do you feel about FGM?
I'm not okay with either one of them. But if there is a religious reason, if you can open your religious book open and point to a part where you say your God tells you you have to do this. So like
Jesus, but
like
God...
Genesis 17:9-14, Abraham was commanded by God to circumcise his house. Oh no. This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and your descendants after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised.
Every male among you shall be circumcised. So if you can open up your religious book and you can point to me where it says, God told me to cut myself, fine. But if you cannot provide me with one single religious text on why that mutilation should happen, it does not count.
So I'm just going to throw in really quick because, I mean, I don't have any insight from a religious standpoint. I didn't have a boy. I didn't have a choice to make. If I had a child now, which I'm not, but if I did, I would choose not to. However, I'm so like aghast, whatever the word is.
Aghast.
At what you just said, that we should be able to do things that we could point to in our religious book. Do you know what kind of shit is in the Bible?
I do.
So, like, we should be able to stone people to death.
Sure.
And we should be able to, like...
So here's the point that I'm trying to make to you is that the shit that's in the Bible is so fucking old that it does not apply to modern times. So you can open up a book and you can say, we should be able to stone people to death because my wife lied to me, so I should be able to stone her to death. Except that doesn't count in these modern ages because back then women were property and now they're not. Same thing with the cutting off of the body parts. You can open up your religious book, you can show me where it is in your textbook, but please, honestly, tell me, does that apply in this modern era? Do you have it was done
but
because there was
who's to say?
It was
who's
done.
The judge and jury there to say this? Like if we just make it carte blanche that if it's okay if you find it in the Bible or in whatever your religious book is, if it's okay in there that we apply it, but we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. It's the same argument I have against assholes who are like, I don't like gay people because the Bible says. And I'm like, no, well, do you watch football? Do you shave your beard? Do you do any of this? Like, don't fucking pick and choose whatever suits you best. So I think this kind of applies the same where I don't know where the line is where you can kind of pick and choose that it applies for this for religious reasons, but not for this.
You can't pick and choose. That's the whole point of it. Like, there is only one line in the entire religious text of all three major Abrahamic religions that talks about mutilating your body, and that's it. That's the one line. It's in the Old Testament, it's in the Quran, and it's in the Torah.
Here's the part that bothers me. He that is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised. Every male throughout your generations, whether born in your house or bought with your money from any foreigner who is not of your offspring.
So if you adopt?
No, if you buy your
If you buy a slave,
you have to cut their dick
what?
off. You have to chop the tip of their dick off if you buy a slave and he doesn't already have it done to him. It'd be a selling point on the slave block.
yeah. So
Party comes pre-circumcised.
I want an atheist for president. That's what I want.
That would be great, but it'll never happen.
Vendetta says, I was circumcised for science reasons. My scientist grandma thought that since she was going to raise me and since she had no experience with the foreskin, she wouldn't be able to teach me about the upkeep. there is some upkeep that needs to be done. The boy's
There
got to
is.
know to pull it back and to clean it all off and to dry it before he lets it go back in.
Shake it.
Because if you have ever put anything away wet, or bundled something up in a bowl and thrown it in a corner wet, that shit gets moldy. You gotta hang it out to dry.
Your
Moldy
genitals.
dick.
Okay, so yeah, hashtag moldy dick. So your genitals, whether you are male or female, are self-cleaning, but they do require at least a water rinse. You shouldn't put any soap in there, not on your penis, not on your vagina. You shouldn't put any scented materials on there, not on your penis, not on your vagina. Water.
Not in, but on the outside.
But foreskin makes the head of the penis inside.
No.
Yes. It's the same as
It
washing
can
your clit.
be exposed, so then
So-
it's outside. It's
so
like
can
inside, outside, inside.
But so can your clit. Would you put soap on your clit?
Well, if my finger touches it when I'm soaping down there, it gets soap on it.
No soap. No soap on your dick. No soap on your clit. Rinse it with clean water regularly. Soap will destroy your ecosystem, people.
The foreskin and penis are all moving parts. They're moving parts. And just like moving parts, they need to be cared for.
They do.
If you let the oil stay on them too long without cleaning out and putting fresh oil,
You'll get famunda. AKA dick cheese. Nobody likes dick cheese.
And this is how you get dick cheese, ladies and gentlemen.
Rinse your
This is how you get
penis.
dick cheese.
Leave the foreskins alone, people. Religious people, if you absolutely need it done for your religious purposes, go somewhere else. If Iceland's going to pass the law, fine. But don't try to use your religious texts to rationalize cutting your children. It's like trying to use your religious text for stoning your wife to death because she lied to you.
yeah, I'm totally against circumcisions, female or male, either or. When they're babies, I think you should let them choose, unless it's a health risk, health reason.
Unless there's something going on that requires it. If a doctor looks at it and goes, ooh, that's going to have to come off, then it can come off. But if the doctor's like, nah, it's fine, then leave it alone. Leave it alone. They're doctors. They mostly know what they're talking about. Mostly.
Unless they're the ones who suggest it.
when I was reading through this and I started laughing, it's because Vendetta, when we were talking about Sierra's mom, Sierra, God makes no mistakes.
That's not true.
No.
Even God admits that God makes mistakes.
God says that?
Yeah.
My God does. I don't know.
I think he said it on Facebook not that long ago.
Yeah. I don't know what God you guys follow, but I follow God on Facebook, and he is constantly like, whoops, sorry about that.
Are we
My
done?
bad.
Is the show done?
I shut the mics off about 2 minutes ago.
Oh.
Did you really?
No.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Should we close up?
Yeah, we should, because it's like
Okay.
5 minutes over.
I'm Elexia,
Toxi.
And Sierra.
and we will see you next week.
If you're brave enough.
Later, bitches.